Ohio State is set to match up against Notre Dame in the national championship game, the first national championship game in the 12-team college football playoff era. And I think this is going to be a ridiculous ratings game. Like it could be the most viewed college football game of all time. You have the brand of Notre Dame, the brand of Ohio State. You could make a debate. These are the two biggest brands in college football. So it's going to be a heck of a game. And if you look at it, these teams have some familiarity. This is their third matchup in 3 years. They played in 2022. They played in 2023 in that crazy game where they got that last-second touchdown. Ohio State got that last-second touchdown at Notre Dame at their place, and they got a narrow victory. Ohio State won in 2022 as well behind C.J. Stroud, 21-10. Now you have part three of this in the national championship game. Obviously, those were just regular season games. This is for all the marbles. And it's a really unlikely matchup. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year this would be the national championship game, I would have thought Ohio State had a good shot to get there, but I did not think Notre Dame would be in this position at this time in the year. I just didn't think that was going to happen. But we have it right here. We have that matchup. And I think there's a lot of keys to the game, but it will be difficult for Notre Dame to win this game. It's going to be difficult for them because they just need a lot of breaks to go their way. If you look at Notre Dame, if you look at the breakdown of kind of what they do, their offense is definitely run-oriented. They don't throw the ball that much. Their leading receiver is Greathouse, the one that got that touchdown, that huge busted play touchdown against Penn State. That's their main vocal point of the passing game. That you have Jeremiah Love, obviously Riley Leonard scrambles a lot. So that's going to be kind of the bulk of what they're going to see. What I will say is Ohio State hasn't really matched up against a super versatile running guy like Riley Leonard. Like they haven't seen that yet. So that could be an area where Notre Dame looks to exploit them. But if you look at this, Notre Dame is going to have a complete game on offense, and they're going to have to defensively be really sound. They have a good defensive unit, but if you look at Ohio State, just guys on guys on guys, Ohio State has around 13 5-stars on their roster. Notre Dame only has one. So if you look at the breakdown, Ohio State should be the favorite that they are in this game, but you have to factor, you have Marcus Freeman, for alma mater is Ohio State. They have a lot of symmetry there. He's going to really be amped up in this game, but I think Ohio State will be extra amped up in this game as well because I don't think they played their best game against Texas. If you look at it by the numbers, they did not play very well against Texas. If it wasn't for some great plays that were made down the stretch, I don't know if they would have won that game. The Ohio State's offense reverted back to what they did against Michigan when things started to not go right for them. They were running the ball. It'd be first down, run the ball between the tackle, throw it, maybe get sacked by the end of it. So they need to have a better offensive game. If you look at the breakdown of what they did, they had a really good first drive. The second drive, obviously, there was that penalty that halted them. Then they just really didn't do much outside of the Travion Henderson touchdown until that last long 10 or 13 play drive that they had to take the score at the end of the game. So they need to play better on offense. I think Jeremiah Smith only had like 4 yards receiving. I don't care if they double him. They need to try to get him more involved in the game. He's just going to be a big factor. They got to get him going. Maybe you put him in on some jet sweeps or something, get it going. They just need to use their weapons properly. I thought Carnell Tate and Emeka Ibuka had really good games against Texas. But if you're looking at this game here, it's just going to come down to execution for Ohio State. If Ohio State plays half the game they played against Tennessee or Oregon, they should win this game pretty soundly. Even if they play how they played against Texas, I still think they would win. It would take a pretty big disaster, in my opinion, for them to falter. It's definitely possible. But this Ohio State team, they're their own worst enemy. We know this. They can't be beaten at this point by this Notre Dame team. They just simply don't have the weapons. But Ohio State can beat themselves, and definitely there's a path where they could lose this game. But with that being said, the ball is in Ohio State's court through and through. They have the best defense in the country. They have a far, far better offense, in my opinion, than Notre Dame. And we'll really see. It's interesting, though, in this game that you have two of the bigger transfer quarterbacks facing off in this game. I think Ohio State was looking at Will Howard and Riley Leonard. I think they were thinking about getting one. I think it was between Cam Ward, Riley Leonard, or Will Howard, and they ended up getting Will Howard. But it's interesting to see how far the transfer quarterback has kind of taken these teams. And I think that that's going to be a vocal point in the future of college football is when these teams have a really talented roster, just bringing in a quarterback away, bringing an adult in the room, a good leader. And I think both these quarterbacks, I think that's their best virtue, both of them, is they're really solid leaders, both of them. Will Howard, he's taken accountability for that Michigan loss, really leads his unit well. He's an adult in the room. And I think Riley Leonard has done the exact same thing for Notre Dame. And it's been kind of been a leading force for both these teams. And it's a great matchup. I think you have a great story on both ends. You have Ohio State with their redemption story. They can't go home without raising a banner, without another national championship. Then you have Notre Dame, who has struggled to win big games for years. Like, I want to say their last national championship is 1988. And I think that they had a crazy bowl drought before that. And then they beat Georgia and they beat just a Penn State team that was looking pretty good. And now all of a sudden they have a shot. So either team wins this. I mean, both schools are on 10-plus year title droughts. So it's going to be a great story either way. I mean, if you look at it from the Notre Dame perspective, you have Marcus Freeman loses to Ohio State the first two games. If he beats them in the national championship game, takes down his alma mater, be kind of similar to Urban Meyer did this in 2006 when they played Tressel and that great Ohio State team. Ohio State was a massive favorite. Urban Meyer came in with the Florida Gators, routed them. I don't see that happening in this game. But as I said, Ohio State is going to be their own worst enemy in this game. If they choose to not execute and they play a more Michigan-styled attack and they try to play this game safe and they don't let it rip, then they could easily lose this game. They need to go in there and let it rip. They need to start out how they've started out these games, and then through that, they need to play a consistent game plan, not worried about their defense, never worried about their defense has been incredible. I mean, just what they've been able to do. I think there's a lot of NFL guys on that defense, like through and through. I mean, you could be talking about all of those guys getting a look in the NFL, all of them. So it's really been incredible. I'm excited to see it. I think my final score with it is going to be Ohio State 31, Notre Dame 20. I'm going to give them the edge. I just think they're going to find a way to get that victory. And it could be a lot closer. I just think that Ohio State takes accountability that they didn't play their best game against Texas, and they walk into this game not overlooking a Notre Dame team that they are very familiar with, and they know they're one win away. So I will take the Buckeyes 31-20 to win the national championship game. But as I said, if Ohio State stabs themselves in the foot, then Notre Dame has a shot in this game. But I'm excited to see it. I think it's going to be the most viewed college football game of all time, and we will see it Monday, January 20th.